Hello, Yorman. I found the Hazelbrook story where Dean Harrison over here is talking to the tool guy up in Queensland. Now, why a YouTuber who does tools is interviewing a yowie hunter? I find that rather interesting. But what a lot of people don't know is that Dean Harrison's family owns Harson's plumbing supply, not is. So you take out the is and Harrison, Harson, right? Yeah, anyway, he says that right down the very end. But anyway, now I found the one where I done the one there with Mr. Dog, and I went up to Hazelbrook. Now here's the story.
So how many sightings have you personally had? Was it 3?
Oh no, I've had a lot more than that because just keep in mind that we've been called out all over the country for decades now. So we find ourselves in situations on properties where it's been active for a long time. So we put ourselves in those positions where we're in for a pretty good chance of an encounter. We also have our favourite places that we go where we have where we have many encounters. Now, shortly after the Ormo, I moved to Sydney, and this is where I had one of the most fascinating encounters this is probably the only good one that I've come across. In most of my experience, I've been on the business end, on the pointy end of these creatures. They haven't quite liked me, but this one was different. This one was like a big kid. And I think the reason for this is because he was so used to having human interaction with this community of Hazelbrook in the Blue Mountains. And he would go from backyard to backyard and steal clothes off people's clotheslines. He's like a kleptomaniac, this thing. And so many of the locals knew of him for years and years. And so I got a call out to this location, and I ended up tracking him back to where he was coming from. And so some of the locals that were living there, they'd say that at night time he'd come so close to the house and so close to, say, the lounge room window. I think one guy said to me, I don't know whether he was watching us or he's watching the television. Yeah. And so they ended up cutting the trees back, right back. And there's another woman who lived next door, and she was doing her dishes one day, and she sees a little bit of fluff on the other side of the windowsill as she's doing the dishes, and she's sort of focusing on it and doing the dishes at the same time. This fluff started to get a little bit higher and a little bit higher, and then it turned into a head, and then it stood right up above the window. So she's dropped the dishes and ran off into the lounge room. So anyway, I ended up tracking him back to the other valley, and this thing was like clockwork. And
you noticed that? You said the other valley.
And he used to come up on the same track, same time, every night. And this is like all technology, really. I mean, my inventory consists of like a little box brownie camera with a range of about a 3 metre flash. I mean, that's about all I had back in those days. And I used to cry out to everybody, anyone, like production companies.
Box branded camera with a small flash, that's all he had.
Equipment, but no one was listening.
1997? I thought the Nikon camera was out by then with the big... Anyway.
And so he used to come up and he used to want to play games all the time. And he used to want to play this game called The Stupid Human. And I was the stupid human. And he'd play this game trying to... His role in all this was to see how close he could get to me without me knowing. So I would pretend that I didn't know he was there because he was just that dumb, and he'd get up so close to me. He'd go from tree to tree to tree, and then he'd start to get inside your comfort zone and go, alarm bells start going off. I mean, how far do you trust him, and what's his next move if he sort of gets a little bit too close? So then you'd have to put the spotlight on, and off he'd run back down into the valley, and he'd go along the bottom of the valley and then start again from a different direction. And he played this game all night, and we played it so often. And there was one time I had a couple of friends from Queensland who came down because I wanted to show them what was going on and have them witness Fatfoot as well. And we had this guy called Phil, and I said, Phil, he's going to either come up on this track, it's 8 o'clock at night, come up on this track, or he's going to come up on this one that we're standing on. I said, you go over by that track there, go behind that log and get ready with your camera. And the first thing you're going to hear is a branch break down the bottom, and then you know he's on his way. So he went over there, and we're sitting there and we're waiting. It's only a few minutes, crack, crunch, crunch. Yep, he's on his way. Crack, crack, he's coming up on Phil's track. crunch, 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 and up he's coming. Everything's breaking, getting smashed, and then everything just goes silent. And myself and this other guy, Warren, we're looking over where Phil is going, what's going on over there? We're watching. And then there's all this kerfuffle and commotion. We went running over there, and Phil's standing there with the camera. He's as white as a sheet. Phil, what happened? And he said, well, you know how you asked me to stand behind this stump? Yeah? Well, I did, and then he came up on the other side, and then I stood up, and he stood up at the same time. They're both looking at each other from either side of the stump, and he had the camera in his hand, finger on the button. Did you think he was going to take the shot? No, vast thing in his mind. So later in the night, they said, where is he? I said, oh, he's still here somewhere. And with that, I picked up the spotlight, and it was a random shot, just out in the darkness. Bang, fair square, right in the chest I hit him. He's standing there out in the open, not hiding from us, in the open, not hiding behind a tree, in the open. And I hit him fair square in the chest. He got the biggest fright of his life, and he turns to his right and he runs to hide behind a tree. But this tree's too small, and his shoulders are sticking out both sides. So no, that's no good. So he turns around and he runs to the other tree, which is big enough, and he goes down to all fours, and he backs off and goes back down into the valley to start again. But the premise of this story is how aware they are of how blind we are at night time.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what does their diet consist of? Like, is it are they omnivorous?
I think that they are carnivores, but no, they're not. They're omnivores. They're opportunists. So
yeah, well, that's what I was thinking. If they're opportunistic sort of hunters, being out there is
Righto, let's come back over to my video. Now, this is my video here. This is the one I did with Dean Harrison did. What he's just talking about. This is the one at Hazelbrook. YowieHunters.com. He's doing the Darken story. And he talks about how he used to come up here to Hazelbrook. And he used to sit up there with a camera. And then one day, a thylacine walked past him. Yes, Tasmanian Tiger. So, this is the road where he went. When we come around here at Short Street, that was me, got my hand caught in the steering wheel. Yes, I did stop. Hang on there, Mr. Dog. Take a Mr. Dog with me for security. Reckon there, Mr. Dog? You going to enjoy this? And Mr. Dog looks a lot healthier back then. Beef pudding. He's getting a bit old now. He just says, I'm going for a drive. This is where I make the mistake. I think I just missed it. Saying I'll correct myself. Yeah, I did. Hang on. At your Christian conference centre. No, that's not it. Yeah, this is where I went down the wrong road. I'll come back on the other road. Yeah, I think I found it. Ben Harrison, if you watch this, you let me know. Do I find the right one? Burger Falls? Burger Falls. I think this is the one. Because there's the houses back there, which I didn't want to show you. Tar sort of road out in the middle of nowhere. Some houses out here. So it's right when he says the woman said the fur come up underneath the window. Yes, there are houses out there, but then again there's houses everywhere. It's probably the one I come out here once. And I was standing there with somebody else and this woman come running past me. She scared the living hell out of us. I didn't even hear her coming. She come running up the
this is Hazelbrook. And this is where the people come walking out of the bush. So look, you don't even realise there's people out here. This is the same as when you go up there to Wentworth Falls. So this is my video. And this is where he said he was down there about 8, 9 o'clock at night. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll go down there. I'll have a look down there now. See, so there's the power lines. And then we come down here. I think we just had a bit of rain or something. And as you can see, it's a typical Australian dirt road. And you bounce around and, oh yeah, there's the water there. Got my little poor old Hyundai. It's done a lot of miles, hasn't it, people? So, you've just gone from Hazelbrook to town, and here you go, here, look, there's people there walking on the side of the road, look. And they wave. Typical Australian. And look what I run into. And look at the big railway line. Look, you can't go that way. No dogs. Oh, Mr. Dog. You're not allowed, Mr. Dog. Oh, I tell him too. Look, Mr. Dog goes, what? Can't I go in there, Dad? And look, there's another big railway line. So, this is filmed in 2020, January 26, 2021. Dean Harrison reckon he was up there in 97, and he had a box brownie camera with a flash. I saw like a box brownie camera with a flash. Well, I thought in 1997, I think we had a bit more modern cameras than a box brownie. Re-listened to this video back at the beginning, and that's what he said he had. But there's the bush he's talking about. And he said it comes running up the hill, and that's looking up the hill on the other side. But he reckons it was back there down the trail. So obviously since 1997 to 2021, they've obviously put that gate in a lot more recently. Probably keep Dean out, I don't know. Maybe Dean was in there mucking up too much. But anyway, that was a fun day, that trip. And I was very disappointed when I found it was a great big white gate. And thanks everyone, that had 541 views. So thanks, Dean. It made my life. Revisiting Hazelbrook, anyway. And that's also the same one where he's seen the Tasmanian Tiger, as you heard me say in the video. Anyway. All right, that's it there from me, Mr. Hominoid. That's just a quick 12.5-minute one. So, yeah. So, I wonder if this is where the yowie went down and had dinner. He might have knocked on somebody's house over there and asked him for a spare chicken leg. See you later from Mr. Hominoid. Remember, Mr. Hominoid at Gmail and M Hominoid on Messenger. Look at the bloke sitting down there looking at me. Look, so I'm looking at Ben Treat. He's standing down there looking at me. Look. Oh, where are they? I didn't want to film them. Anyway, bloke and his wife, yeah. Big power pole there, see? If you want to find it. Standing man. Anyway, see you later. Wentworth, starts with W anyway, the road, and it heads north out of Hazelbrook. You can go and look it up. See ya.